Hello everyone, this is Metroid Nerd number 9001 and I have something special in store today. On the day this video is released, it will be the 6-year anniversary of when I released my first ROM hack, Super Metroid Recovery. In celebration of that, I thought it would be kind of a fun thing to do, to try to replay through the hack with all of the new hacking knowledge that I have now, and see how much my opinion has changed on my design decisions, just what I think about the hack now, that I'm no longer like confined to my biases as much from when I initially made the hack, see if the time that has passed between me making this hack and me playing it now has allowed me to look at it from a much more objective perspective and see how all the different things that I've learned have changed my outlook. I definitely do find this original intro I wrote still to be pretty amusing. This explosion confused a lot of people. It's a reference to AM2R, which I suppose isn't really the best thing to try to reference in this, because it's kind of an obscure part of AM2R, although it was much closer to when AM2R actually released. And then this is the reference to Some Call Me Johnny's review of Super Metroid back a long time ago. I made sure the hack skipped series because that was a pretty early complaint that someone lodged well before I released the hack, that it still had series without really having much of a good reason to. I definitely did a lot of playing around with this landing site, just trying to learn how all the tiling worked for criteria. Having the extra slope tiles that I kinda stole from other hack. No, I don't think this one was actually taken from another hack. I think I just tried to make this myself. And it doesn't look very good. This is overall like a mediocre structure in the grand scheme. It's like, it's okay. Especially with like all the background stuff, it's kind of cool, but compared to some of the stuff I can make now, it's nothing too special. And it's also kind of frustrating to navigate because you're having to make a lot of blind jumps between platforms. You just kind of have to know the way the structure works and know how to jump between them if you want to make it to the top, just because it's very expansive. So as long as you know the general structure, you'll be fine, but you are making a lot of mostly blind jumps. And there's not even any point to coming up here super early, because you can't get to the item that's over there. I'm going to see if I can remember where all the items are and see if I can get 100%. I have not looked at a map of this hack in a long time, so we'll see how good my memory is. I probably should have locked the camera in place here, but doing that was a lot more work back when I was first making this hack, because everything had to be manually repointed. This was before Smart came around, and Smart has been such a help with making just general hacking a lot easier. So my first big misdirection of the hack is that you go right at the beginning instead of left. Ooh, and I have all the bugs. You're going down here, and you're going to Red Brinstar instead. And then there's this tile set that I just absolutely love. Not tile set, this palette blend with the fog. I just absolutely love what it does to the whatever tile set you put it in, really. It fits with almost everything to make it darker and spookier. And it just looks really cool, I think. This room, this area underwent a lot of revisions because it was one of the first places that I built in the hack. This room used to be even stupider. This room is still kind of stupid, but I think it used to be even stupider. And then I changed this around to make it at least a little bit hinted. This room also got completely redesigned. Kind of turned into like a little power core thing that you have to break open, and then the power turns on after you destroy all of the vines throughout it, and it has like the little eye, and then all the space pirates show up. The space pirates don't immediately show up, even though it's like space pirate technology. It's just like a bunch of zoomers, and I am jumping around like a madman. And then one of the first of many of the really awkward jumps that I force you to make really early in the hack if you don't want to wall jump. Because if you wall jump, it's really easy. Oh right, I have respin, and you can just like wall jump up there. But because of the way I designed it, it's like you have to jump really late on this platform. I also greatly increased the fire rate. Ooh, this is not a very nice jump. You have to do a running jump here. Save station opens up. And I have the early missile pack that you can get here in the old Meridia shortcut. It's still a Meridia shortcut, but now you can get early missiles here. I think it's kind of a clever thing. And failed block ball. There we go. Now this room was built much closer to when I was thinking of this as like, ooh, challenges. Oh, let's make some fun platforming challenges for the people to do in Super Metroid. I think I'd probably been playing like some Mario Maker at the time, and fresh off of Little Big Planet, which is a very different kind of level editing style. I eventually kind of departed from that, which I think is a good thing because this is much more exploration based. This is much better hinted than it was in the earliest versions of this room, and these used to be crumble blocks. It was so bad. It was just not thinking about how people would have to retraverse through it like the second time they went through, and only thinking about what it would be like the first time you went through. Now I have this room that you can use to get early X-ray, just because why not? This room that I basically stole from I stole this room from Recovery to put into Quarry, just as a fun little Easter egg. But I greatly improved its design in Quarry. At least I think so. The room with X-ray in it still has X-ray, but it doesn't really have much of anything special. I just kind of needed to do something to fill the space in this room. So I just had some jumps. It's not particularly well designed. Okay, I need to make sure I don't die. That would be bad. That would be embarrassing, dying in my own hack. And we made it. Well, yeah, these are some kind of awkward jumps. I still kind of make this mistake in my hacks closer to now, is that I kind of expect people to just be holding the run button all the time. This room used to be a lot worse too. It's still kind of offensive. It's still a bit over the top. But it's not as bad as it used to be. And you can like, jump out of that. I've reused this room a lot too, just because it's one of my early ones I'm a bit nostalgic for. There used to be a lot of like crumble blocks going on. Not great. I made definitely a lot of questionable design choices, but I was also like 15 when I made this. Come a long way since then. And then we have this, the intentional first try early super missiles sequence break. Because why not? I know if I'm trying to get like an objective view on the hack, I probably shouldn't be doing all the sequence breaks, but it's my video, I can do what I want. Let me know all of your objections down in the comments and tell me how stupid I am for doing this. Oh, my obsession with ninja pirates. Oh, and the lava. The zero mission green lava. It's probably a bit much to throw at the beginning of the game, but I don't think it ever really tripped players up too bad. Or at least I never really heard much complaining about it. I upped the fire rate of the power beam, but some of the base enemies I never really changed their health. But then some enemies I turned into sponges. Very inconsistent enemy balancing going on. Obligatory, super long, super repetitive shaft That you used to just shine spark up, and I wasn't creative enough to figure out something more interesting to do. Or maybe I was just lazy. And I put the energy tank here because of the 60 damage spikes. Just so people wouldn't have only 2 hits before they died. Now this room I really liked the design of, and I kind of took it a little bit further in Pit of 100 Trials. This kind of mixture design of the bricks and the purple Brimstone tiles that you don't really see much in vanilla. Alright, let's see what I did with this map. Okay, I show bombs. I don't show spring ball. Nah, it's mostly vanilla. Probably a bit too much on the enemy spam. I'm still a little bit guilty of that. Weird ledge. Coming out of this room. More awkward jumps. There's only really one way to navigate around the room. And you have to be holding jump the entire time. A weird Ripper location. That was definitely me in high school. Just kind of doing things as I felt. With not too much rhyme or reason through it. I made sure Supers killed him in 1 hit, just in case he did the early Supers sequence break. I still stand by that design choice. I think it's a nice reward. You just get to one-shot bomb Tuizo. Lag. Oh, and throwing double bomb jumps right out the gate. Or just mid-air morphs. Oops. So this you can mock ball through instead of having spring ball. There we go. And I just feel like doing that to save time. More mid-air morphing. I do kind of like the idea of this room. It has like the little pipes that are kind of broken around each other. Although the water placement could have used some work. This room also went through a decent amount of iterations and changes, and it's still kind of a weird design room. I'll go the actual route. I didn't really know how to make this kind of morph ball maze at the time. I was just kind of doing stuff that I guess I'd seen bits of in other hacks that I thought would work. It's okay. This part kind of forces you to double bomb jump so you don't hit the spikes, because you would hit the spikes if you mid-air morphed. Now this room tripped a lot of people up, at least from what I've seen with people playing the hack. Mostly the part was the tutorial on using speedball, because I guess most people wouldn't assume that you get it, and I didn't really teach it in the best way. Some people tried to like mock ball into this thing, not realizing that you just hold down the run button and go straight across. So definitely could have conveyed this better. And I think I've tried to do that a little bit better in Quarry. Some people also tried to break in through the back way through here to get into Spring Ball. They got the missile, but they didn't realize they couldn't get into Spring Ball through there. This room I also kind of like the vibe of. Oh, Green Brimstone. I did not know how to tile you back when I was making this hack. This room went okay. Especially for like not really knowing what I was doing. I think I did okay with the tiling. Not really that great with the camera, though. So the map here kind of gets into one of the more iffy components about the way I built this hack, is that the progression in the map layout is really unintuitive and kind of weird. Because you go down into Brimstone, and all you can do is get the super missiles and the charge beam, but you can't go continue through Brimstone because I put the locked doors that require Kraid to get through them. So you just kind of have to go back up, and this is the only use of this entire part of Green Brimstone for the entire hack. And then you have to backtrack and do a bunch of other stuff instead. I'm actually running a little bit low on ammo. I'll go to my ammo refill stations. I made sure they did refill ammo, not just missiles. Had to borrow some assembly work from some people on MetConst. Well, I guess they kind of volunteered to do it for me. They just kind of showed me the code and told me how to patch it. And I'm like, oh, cool, thanks. Some people thought this door was like an enemy kill door, which is another problem with using gray doors like this, is that they don't really indicate very well what you're supposed to do with them, and I did not do a good job indicating where you needed to jump down from here. I didn't use a lot of the foliage. I think if I had used some more of the foliage, I would have made this a little bit better. Oh, I somehow hit that ledge without hitting the spike. A lot of people died to this mini-boss, and just a lot of the mini-bosses that I've made, so... I mean, I kind of cheesed it because I had supers, but I've seen the way people have struggled with these before, so... I'll definitely have to keep that in mind. You know, I definitely shouldn't have done all the sequence breaks, because I'm giving myself a bit of a false impression of the difficulty of the hack. Maybe I shouldn't be using supers, or shouldn't have been using supers until this point. Just get the items early just to save me time later, but don't use them. This is one of like 3 places you can get your first supers, even in ways that feel intended, like progression-wise, because then there's one in the wrecked ship, too, and I think there might be another one somewhere else. But then, weirdness with the map, you have to backtrack all the way out of here and back through Criteria, because you can't continue through Brinstar this way. So theoretically, this is all like just kind of a branch in the progression, which is another weird part about it, because you don't need supers to get to wrecked ship. You just need bombs to get here. But also another weird part of the design is Spring Ball doesn't get you up here. Actually, it does. I thought it didn't. No, it doesn't. Then how did I get up there the first time? Well, that's weird. Either way, you have to mid-air morph to get in here, which is not really the best thing to be requiring of people for stuff like this. Definitely not one of my best choices. And even more Ninja Pirates. I loved me some Ninja Pirates. This one breaking the blocks, too. I like that, but... And some of the design of this room is okay, like using grapple to skip over it, but then the Ninja Pirate's just weird. And I have these awkward little juts above and below the ground every time you get into a scrolling sky room with the ocean, so that the ocean tiles can actually be populated correctly, just because of the weirdness of the scrolling sky patch I was using at the time. That is a really tight jump that I definitely should have made more lenient. A lot of people got tripped up by that. These are, in general, pretty tight jumps. I'm just going through them first try just because I'm used to them and I'm good at them, but for a lot of players, those jumps can be really frustrating. A lot of people get lost, too. I mean, most of the time they realize that the map is vanilla. But even then, sometimes they forget to check things. Or don't think they can go certain places, or don't think they should go certain places. Like, maybe they assume you shouldn't fight Phantoon first, even though he is rebalanced. Just because the map is sometimes too open in that regard, that it doesn't feel like you have to go to Phantoon. So maybe you shouldn't be going to Phantoon right now. It actually took me a bit to balance Phantoon properly, because I didn't know how to edit the damage values from his flames, so they were still dealing way too much damage until I learned about enemy projectiles, which, if you've seen the other videos on my channel, you know I've learned a lot about enemy projectiles since then. Ah, this scroll update, because I didn't change the door ASM here. Let's see what I reveal on the map. Okay, so I do reveal where Grapple is and Varia on the map. So at least that's indicated to the player. I think most people at least found Varia, which is more important, but there's a lot of stuff caught behind Grapple that, especially reading through some of the reviews of the hack from originally, some people missed Grapple, and that like completely screwed them over during some parts of the hack. Because there was a lot of stuff that's kind of Grapple dependent or Grapple adjacent. I just randomly put the Varia suit here. I just kind of felt like it, I guess. And then you also get Grapple Beam, so it's a strange bit of progression around here. Not the most well thought through. I wasn't the best at tiling the wrecked ship, but I kind of got there eventually. I got some okay stuff, and some of this is just straight from vanilla. Like this background wasn't changed at all, so I guess I really can't take too much credit for some of these rooms looking good because they looked good in vanilla. And then there's this weirdness. The traversal outside, then back inside the wrecked ship. And then I force the reserve tank on you, basically just to make a Metroid MST / Shy Guy Express angry. Because you have to get it to get Grapple. Because of the crumble blocks. And then I threw a missile reload. Basically because I felt like having wrecked ship piloted space pirates in here. And then also just randomly a missile in here. And then over here, you have the shine spark they have to do to get to Plasma Beam. Plasma Beam, almost nobody got Plasma Beam. Oh, that was not my best work when it came to hidden optional upgrades. It was so out of the way. I do still kind of like this little grapple challenge and the way it kind of brings you around the whole room. It's okay. It's not the greatest, but it's serviceable. Not too overly challenging. Usually just single grapple points you have to go on. Then some platforming. I do kind of like the way this worked out. Because you think you're over like this giant chasm and you have to be careful with all these platforms so you don't fall and lose all of your progress. But then you realize you're just over the ground and it's just the camera fooling you. I always found that kind of amusing. But then after doing all that, you go back into the wrecked ship with the grapple beam. But first, don't forget to get this item. Can't be forgetting items. And you have to go back in here so you can use the grapple that I just spit you away from the area in so that you can go get high jump boots in Meridia. This overall works pretty well as a grapple beam barrier, although I think some people may have found ways to get around it. When I was working on the randomizer, I think we did a lot of testing for this, but I wanted to make absolutely sure you had grapple for this area, since you were going to go into some suitless underwater stuff. And I still can't make it through in one cycle. Kind of a weird jutting grapple point, and the enemy stops because it's being grappled. Made sure that was a super door just in case this was your first super missiles, that you actually got the super missiles instead of just skipping over them and not having supers. Also, a lot of people didn't, I guess this is kind of my fault, because these things can be used as grapple points, and I think the game might even intend you to do that at some points. But some people thought they had to like mid-air morph to get over these things so you could get on top of them. I guess since there is still the gap, But no, my intention is just for you to use these as grapple points so you can get over to the supers. I guess definitely could have done a better job conveying that. And that was fun. Gotta love grapple. Here I think is a better conveyance of using that as a grapple point because there's no way to get above it. But it's after you have to use it as a grapple point to get the super missiles, so I definitely should have done it the first way first. A bit overly tight on the grappling to get out of the water. I probably could have done this a bit better too. And weirdness with the scrolling sky. Gotta love it. It's much better now that we have Amoeba's scrolling sky fix that was made for the Subversion ROM hack. It's just way better, way more flexible. So there's like the random crumble blocks there, like there. Ah. Then you have to bomb up here to get out. I definitely could have done a better job with this. And then we have another one of my challenge rooms. I made a lot of these rooms into the green Meridia instead of the sandy Meridia because I didn't really like the sandy Meridia as much. But I still didn't do a very good job with these rooms. Like, they're okay, but they definitely could have used some improving. And also, Lord help you if you don't have Spring Ball for this section. Definitely a bit over the top with the way I made it. There were a lot of sections that I kind of made with the expectation that you would have more items than a lot of players actually would. A little bit tight on the grappling too, but that part's not too bad. I tried to make the hack so that you didn't have to use wall jumping at all to get through it. This is a finicky grappling point, probably because of the slopes around it. I tried to make it so you didn't have to wall jump at all to beat the hack. So there's a lot of weird grapple stuff going on. And grapple's just weird in general, so that creates a lot of good fun times. And then room states in this room, so I added in a pirate to replace the bugs. Just so that the bugs wouldn't hit you as you go out the door. I did random weird room state stuff like that. It was kind of fun. That's an awkward jump. You know what, since I'm already doing the other sequence breaks, I'm going to do the early power bomb sequence break. The shaky water lines, I think, do a lot of messing around with getting in and out of the water that I probably should have just made the water level stagnant. Oh, this part. I definitely gave Shacktool way too much health. Okay, I was actually worried I might die there. I think this was a pretty clever way to trap you in and require to use power bombs to get out at least. But it's also one of multiple places you can get your first power bombs. Do you have to crouch jump to get out of here, really? Wow, that is not fun. Well, I guess wall jumping would work, but still. You know, I don't know if I should take this as a sign against the hack or not, the fact that I'm already kind of getting bored playing it. I don't know if it's the hack's fault or just the fact that I'm the one who made it and I've played it so many times that I guess the rooms aren't enthralling enough that on a repeat playthrough I can still be interested in it because I've just done it so many times that it's worn me down. Also lag. There we go. Why did I have all the crabs going in the same direction? Okay, what all do I reveal on Meridia's map? Most of it, actually. The way the space jump, which I think some people somehow still missed. Even though I did a pretty good job saying you need to get space jump. I don't know, some people are weird. I'm a lot more generous with these maps than I was in Hotlands, though. Oh yeah, that's what the requirement is. You need grapple here. But I'm gonna go and get the energy tank. Oh, gotta love Scorpio M's being fun with grapple beam too. For those who don't know, the in-game things that change the scrolling of the camera also have very funky reactions with the grapple beam. So that's fun. And then the fun lava music with the red wind star too. Let's go beat Kraid now, just so I can get all the missiles. At least you have the Zeelas crawling out there to give you the hint that you can go down. I do like this room a little bit. This one was decent. And they just randomly kept the enemy kill door because that's what there was in vanilla. There's definitely some remnants of that. The only reason is because that's how it was in vanilla. And then just the random item here. I like this room. Mostly it uses the fog blend that I like. And all the mini grades. I think this was kind of a cool idea that I had. Although definitely a bit much on the enemy spam. I confused some people with the thing into Kraid, but having this door locked I think was sufficient that once they knew they went up here, and they almost would immediately find the passageway. So I think this part works pretty well. Got your little back route into Kraid. But I could never find a way to make that door not close behind you, or not close despite you not going through it. Buff Kraid. At least from a health perspective, I don't think its damage has been increased by all that much, if at all. I plan on using a similarly buffed Kraid for Quarry, but I think that hack will actually increase the damage value, so it's a fight instead of just a make sure you have enough ammo to kill him quickly, otherwise you're going to be having an unfun time. And don't miss on half of your super missiles. Come on. There we go. Last super. And then the 75 missiles. I do enjoy the little bit of a trolling where some people think it's just a missile pack, and it takes them a few minutes, and they notice that they got a bunch of missiles from that. That always gave me some giggles. Okay, this I think was where the design of the hack started to falter a little bit more. So the map doesn't show you the route underneath Ice Beam anymore, even though that's the required route. And the original map in vanilla showed you it, I do believe. So every other route that you can take from Norfair leads you to a dead end with the upgrades that you currently have. Oh, but first, let's stop and get Spazer. Just because Spazer is good. This was a gag I definitely enjoyed a lot. Because you have the ninja pirate up here and then another reserve tank that's required for you to get just to troll MST. Because it's fun to do that. Then down here, you get the Spazer. And when you come out, the space pirate followed you in. And if you look up here, he took the thing that the reserve tank was on and just threw it across the ground so he could corner you. But the problem was, so this door is just locked instead of being a gate. So that when you open the door on the other side, that unlocks. And then this save room has the wave gate in front of it that you can't get through. And then this route leads you to a dead end as well. So this is the only route you can take, and I just remembered that you're supposed to have Ice Beam to do this, and that is what encourages you to go through the other parts of Red Brinstar to get the Ice Beam from Spore Spawn. So actually, I'm going to go do that, just to not sequence break everything and kind of show the intended route. Or at least feel it a little bit more. The problem with that, I think, is that it's not obvious that that area unlocks when you beat Kraid. So when I would see people play the hack, a lot of them would go over to that area, and it would just be by happenstance they saw that the door was unlocked. And would usually make the connection then, but they wouldn't seek out the area thinking, oh, it's unlocked now that I've beaten Kraid, I can go do this now. They would just happen upon it. Oh, that was a terribly placed enemy. I'm not even going to try to get this thing right now. That's also a pretty poorly placed item. And also, mistake of having so many enemies all going in the same direction. Lag. I did redesign this room so you don't need Ice Beam to get back up. But it is a little bit over the top. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and pick up the other items in this area that I can get now that I have power bombs and the like. The 100% routing in the hack is also kind of awkward. I didn't really put that much thought into it. So it's a little bit clunky. There's a lot of stuff where you just kind of have to go out of your way to grab a whole bunch of items. Just because. Oh, I still need Speed Booster to get this. I'll come back later. I forget what does and doesn't need Speed Booster. This room I really like. Also, I use the palette blend. The palette blend here. I think these used to require power bombs. But this still ended up being like a kind of clunkily designed room. So I wanted to do grapple, but I wasn't that good at making actual grapple challenges. And then this part threw a lot of people off. They didn't think to just use a bomb. And even then I failed. But you can just go under and use grapple. So I liked this room aesthetically, but there ended up being some pretty major problems with it, mostly with these ninja pirates, was that they were, the ones other than this one's fine. These were placed in really awkward locations, and all the locked doors made people think that they had to beat them. But in reality, they unlocked to Spore Spawn. Some people even died to these guys. I'm not even gonna bother. Oh, and Spore Spawn. I didn't really... This Spore Spawn's basically just here because Spore Spawn was here in vanilla. I didn't even rebalance the damage. I also have Spore Spawn here so you can have the quick kill with the speed booster that most people never even tried. I'm gonna make it required in Quarry that you just do it by happenstance just for the lulz. I did not have the patience to do that. I'll be honest, I just fast forwarded through most of it. Spore Spawn's a really annoying boss when you already know what you're doing. I tried to use these rooms to introduce the whole Ice Beam is strong against these pirates thing. But a lot of people would use Charge Beam, and Charge Beam doesn't carry that damage multiplier. So a lot of people just didn't know this. So I actually quite like the visual design of this room. The problem is, this area is completely pointless because it just leads to an energy recharge. There's just a bunch of side hoppers you have to blast through to get to it, and all you get is the energy refill. And the energy refill's just here because that's where it is in vanilla. This room's also not great because it's just a bunch of side hopper spam. I think that's all I can do here for now. Another bit of backtracking that isn't super well indicated. That's just kind of out of the way and kind of annoying to do. This is also a really badly designed room. Just because it's the enemy kill, but then you have to kill the side hoppers, and if you don't have space jump, you use the side hoppers with Ice Beam. It's a massive pain if you don't. It's just, eh. Oh, and this part where you have to go down through the rising lava, and you're almost guaranteed to get caught up in it. But this is where you have to go to progress. Probably one of my biggest blunders when it comes to the design of this hack. So many people got caught by this. I just wandered around for ages trying to find somewhere else to go. So Lower Norfair also has some design issues that I tried to rectify in some later versions to moderate degrees of success. But Screw Attack is kind of out of the way. Because you have to go through here, which is the normal route to take in Lower Norfair, and this isn't a very well-placed grapple block. But then you have to go all this way through some pretty poorly designed rooms to get to Screw Attack. And it feels like the hack kind of punishes you if you don't get Screw Attack. All around, this definitely could have been executed a lot better. This room I have around a lot in my hacks, because I like the idea of it, even though it is really hard. It was also one of the earliest rooms I built. It really does require you to kind of slow down and think about what you're doing. This is probably one of the worst offenders, though. Is this room with the rising acid. It's giant. People don't know where to go. They panic. And a lot of them end up dying and just not going this way. And of course, I stuck a missile pack up here. The platforming is subpar. It's kind of hard to see where the platforms are that you're jumping to, so people get really scared that they're going to jump straight into the lava, and some of them do, and then they die. My consolation prize is you get the refill station here, but that's not really that great of a consolation prize because a lot of people die before they get here. So, yeah, not great. And another missile pack just for good measure. I think also because I was running out of places that I actually planned to have items, so I just had to come up with a few more. So I just stuck some random items around. This room being basically unchanged, I think, was a reference to the fact that in Super Metroid Redesign, it's also one of the only rooms that isn't changed at all from vanilla. I think I did okay with having this back route back, though. Since it's off the view of the camera, when you first enter this room, most people won't notice it or even think to try it. But then you're like, oh, this was all in the same room, and then this room becomes so much easier when you have screw attack. I think just having the enemies in there be a bit weaker would make that room much more tolerable. This, I think, works kind of as a screw attack barrier to at least make you think to go get it first, because a lot of people won't bomb through that wall immediately. I think it's an alright introduction to Wave Beam. Got all the one-ways and such. But then if you don't have screw attack, this introduction to Wave Beam being able to hit the gold pirate is kind of pointless. So I'm kind of contradicting myself on like which one I want you to get first. Oh, and the giant grapple room with the grapple under platforms. It works kind of well to at least get you to think about grapple and have it kind of mesh well. But I just reuse all these like basic platforms so much that the room design is pretty bare bones. Pretty samey. I do like the design of this room and the way it kind of introduces you to power bombs. If you have power bombs, you can just skip right past this, but otherwise you just gotta shoot a bunch of super missiles. I just find it amusing, I guess. I think I had a little bit of an obsession with rising lava when I was making this hack, and I still kind of do. But it's dissipated a bit, so I'm not nearly as terrible about my room designs having too much rising lava. Ooh, yeah, having these was definitely not my best choice. That tripped a lot of people up and made them very frustrated. Some of these late Lower Norfair room designs and layouts are also just kind of weird. I think just because the part of vanilla that I'm working with isn't really that conducive to Lower Norfair's design, that I extend Lower Norfair all the way through here just doesn't really work that well. Which is probably why it's so awkward. Some of these rooms are also really awkward to traverse if you don't have stuff like high jump or ice beam, which some players wouldn't have, so it's not really that accommodating for certain alternate routes, which is a problem, I would say, for a Metroid game. I like the idea of running back through this room, breaking through all this stuff, but it doesn't work going the other way, which I think is the main problem. It's really annoying to go through the first way. I still stand by the design of this puzzle, and I have a couple that I kind of like it in Quarry. Using Speed Keep for puzzling. This room with the collapsing pillars I also really like. I still think it's a cool idea. This part, though, is not so great. There's just a random block you have to go through. I like this down here area's design, where you go through so much and you just get a missile, even when in the original game you got more than that. I think this area does an okay job. It's definitely a bit older style for me, but it shows that you need space jump, and I think it's an okay morph maze, although the camera scrolling definitely could have used some more work. Everything could have used a bit more polish. Now this room is absolutely terrible if you don't have Spring Ball, which some people won't because it's not required up to this point. You can get it super early, But if you don't, you will not like this room at all. It is not fun. I do like this part though, kind of making you utilize respin to your full advantage. I do like having the baby Metroid capsule here though. I think it was a fun touch. And then suddenly this room goes from having fog to having water in it. Now, as fun as it can be to romp back through the wrecked ship with everything, it is a bit annoying that I have like some specific items that are out of the way that you have to do basically in the end game. Like this missile, and there's a couple that required speed booster, like plasma beam. It's not really end game, but it's like speed booster. Once you have speed booster, you're basically in the end game. So it's just kind of annoying that there's so much stuff that requires it, and you have to make a second trip all the way back here to get all of it. But it does make for some cool rooms. Like this one. I really like this one. And you use the echoes to break through the robots. But then this part is just so hidden. And you have to do a really precise shine spark. That's just like... And then you have to do all this nonsense with space jump. So I'm like, ooh, how do I require a space jump? Oh, just put a bunch of spikes everywhere. And then even with space jump, it's still just really annoying to navigate through this room. But your reward is Plasma Beam and a reference to Metroid Zero Mission. So I think that kind of balances it out. Not really, but you know what I mean. I was trying to think through all the items that I had missed, and I'm like, oh yeah, all the items that are up here. I still have to get those. I'm like, where could they all be? I don't think I've missed that much. And then there's this one, which luckily are both gettable from here. Although they do have the fun shine spark you can do from Norfair to get to them too. This is just so amusing. I just think it's funny. And all of that happens, and then you just hit the ceiling. And then this one is easy if you just shine spark from here. It'll take you between the rooms. And that's the last energy tank. And then in the same vein as the last room, you have this convenient platform that lets you shine spark between rooms. I think what happened was that I came up with some of these super early in the hack's development with no idea when Speed Booster was going to be in the progression. And I just liked them so much that I kept them around without really much thought as to the consequences that that would have on the routing of getting through everything. So, yeah. It's definitely weird, but it's not terrible. They're still fun. This room used to have water in it. This room was not fun. It's slightly less not fun now. And last but not least, we have this item. The last power bomb. Which could be your first power bomb, depending on your routing. If you want to get him super early, you just gotta do the lava dive. And now it's time for Torian, which I still think, and I think most people will agree, is the best part of the hack. It's definitely the freest and most novel in its design, even though Axial had already kind of done that. It still like kind of catches you off guard. It's like, where are all the Metroids? Like, what's going on? Am I just gonna be able to waltz to Mother Brain? But then the path gets cut off, and you're like, ooh, what do I do? You go through a new room, and you see all the doors, they're locked. But then the gate, the switch, it opens a door, and you're like, what does that mean? And then... Metroids. They finally show up. And so does the lag. But then, so does the search for the switches. Ooh. Most people find the first two pretty easily, and then the third one was what gives them a lot of trouble. But then usually when they find it, they're like, actually, that was pretty well hinted. I just wasn't looking. That was a fun interaction. And then we skip the pirate entirely. Thanks, Collision. So those bricks I don't use anywhere else. That's the hint. And most people find it and they think it's fine. And then we have the weirdness with the Zebatites where like some random patch that I applied that had to do with the way enemies are loaded screwed up with the way the Zebatites spawn, and it made it so only the top one spawns, which made for a nice little change of pace and nice little challenge. I was okay with the result. This escape was also something, at least the power bomb part of it was something that I had an idea for very early on in the hack. And then when I came up with the rest of Torian, I just kind of morphed it into it. So it's a weird hybrid situation where it's like multiple ideas just kind of clash together. I think it works pretty well. It catches some people off guard, and then the teleporter does too, but overall I like it. I think it works pretty well. I wouldn't really feel the need to change it much. I don't know if I ever got to show off, but a later version of the hack added this shortcut. I'll let you just cut straight to here. But then because I didn't set it up properly, the map gets completely deleted because I didn't set it up as a door that transitions through areas the right way. And that's the hack. To be honest, I really don't know how to feel about it, because I made it so long ago. And there's definitely some parts of it where I'm like, oh, I just like this, even though I know it's kind of poorly designed. And then there's other parts where it's like, is it that poorly designed, or is it just like rough around the edges? Because so definitely some of the rooms are way too hard. I'll admit that. And then a lot of the map design is pretty haphazard, where there's a lot of weirdness in the routing, where there's items that are just kind of sitting there that you don't really need, but then later parts of the hack kind of expect that you already picked it up. It's quite the hodgepodge, but I wouldn't say it's unenjoyable, so I'm really conflicted over how I want to feel about it. An hour 52, I'd say that's a pretty good time though. So, there's definitely a lot to like, and I know I'm still biased because it's something I made, and it's like, especially the stuff that I still like, I'm like, ooh yeah, I really like that, like all the fog palette blends and some of the room designs, but then some of the room designs are really bland, so in a way it makes it very inconsistent, the level of quality. Especially between some of the stuff that I built early on in the hack, some of the stuff that I was really like cranking through, and some of the stuff where I was just like making rooms just to fill space so that I had at least done something. So there's a lot of inconsistency there, and so there's definitely some parts of the hack that are just kind of bad, or at least just kind of mediocre. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like maybe if I were judging this by 2018 hack standards, I probably would give it 4. But I'm hard-pressed to give it anything above a 3 out of 5. So, but I'll definitely be reviewing it on the main hack, and I'll write on the main site on the hacks page. I know I'm reviewing my own hack, but I think because it's been long enough, I think it's okay. Just to get my kind of developer commentary on it. It is unfortunate recently, the Metroid construction website got hacked and we lost a lot of backup stuff from like the forum, like a lot of attachments, and a lot of stuff has to be rebuilt. So definitely go show your support for the Metroid construction community, because we're trying to scrape things back together right now. And be sure to just play hacks and support hack creators, because we do this for fun and because we love the game, and we hope that we can help other people find a new way to enjoy ROM hacking and enjoy Super Metroid, because it's a game we enjoy a lot, and we enjoy making the hacks, and we hope people enjoy playing the hacks. I don't know if this is a hack that I would necessarily recommend everyone play, because it's pretty hard. Not necessarily the most beginner friendly, although most of my hacks aren't very beginner friendly, which is the case with a lot of hacks, but this one especially, I don't think it pulls off its harder difficulty well enough. It doesn't feel like it's quite earned, so it's definitely there, and if you've played a lot of hacks before, I think it's a good way, it's a good hack to, like, oh, you need something to play, you could play this hack, because it's still pretty good, but it's definitely not something that's going to blow your socks off. And if it's, don't play it as one of your first hacks, because there are way better hacks out there that are better balanced, have better map design and all that. But 100% item completion. That was my look back at Super Metroid Recovery. It has been 6 years since I published the hack, and it's been 7 years since I started working on it. Oh, I'm getting old, aren't I? I'm not even that old. I only just graduated from college. Oh dear. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video and the commentary. This has been Metroid Nerd number 9001, and I will see you next time.